Ambassador Parksall walked slowly through the grand halls of the Galactic Council station. The walls were made of crystal that changed colors as he passed. Other alien beings moved around him, some floating, some crawling, some walking on more legs than humans had. Parksall smiled and nodded at each one just like Earth had taught him to do. "Good morning, friends," Parksall said to a group of tall, thin aliens with silver skin. They looked down at him with their large black eyes and made clicking sounds. Parksall knew they were talking about how small and weak humans looked. He had heard it many times before. Parksall reached the main council chamber where hundreds of alien species gathered every day. The room was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. In the center sat the three most powerful species in the galaxy. The Vorthak looked like living diamonds, their bodies made of clear crystal that sparkled in the light. The Nebulon Collective appeared as clouds of colored gas that moved and spoke in whispers. The Tidal Empire representatives were tall blue beings that needed water tanks to breathe. "The human arrives," said High Crystal Vorthak Prime, its voice ringing like broken glass. "Tell us, little farmer, how are your crops growing?" Parksall bowed low, just as he had been trained. "Very well, honored ones. Earth's wheat production is up 12% this season. Our cornfields are producing more food than ever before. We are grateful for the chance to feed the galaxy." The Nebulon Collective whispered among themselves, their gas forms swirling. "Good, good. Simple creatures doing simple work. This is how it should be." The Tidal Empire leader, whose name was too complex for human tongues to say, splashed water from its tank. "The human homeworld continues to serve its purpose. Food production only. No technology development, no military expansion. Perfect." Parksall nodded again. "Yes, honored ones. Humans want only peace and farming. We have no interest in weapons or war. We are happy to grow food for all the great civilizations of the galaxy." This was exactly what the aliens wanted to hear. For 12 years, Earth had played this role perfectly. The Galactic Council saw humans as useful, but harmless. Earth produced massive amounts of food that fed dozens of worlds. In return, the Council gave Earth basic technology and protection from pirates. But Parksall knew the truth. He knew what was really happening on Earth and in the hidden places throughout human space. As he left the Council chamber that day, he touched a small device in his pocket. The device sent a coded message to Earth. They still believed the lie. Far from the Council station, on Earth itself, Commander Li Bin stood in a room that officially did not exist. The room was buried deep underground beneath what looked like a simple farming town. Around him, dozens of screens showed information from across the galaxy. Ships moving between stars, alien military positions, and most importantly, the locations of every Galactic Council fleet. "Status report," Li Bin said to the woman beside him. Captain Kim Woo looked up from her display. "Ghost Fleet 7 completed its patrol of the Arcturus sector. No Council ships detected our presence. Our stealth technology is working perfectly." Li Bin nodded. For 12 years, human ships had been moving through space completely invisible to alien sensors. The Council believed Earth had only a few old cargo ships for moving food. They had no idea that Earth commanded over 300 warships, each one more advanced than anything the Council had ever built. "What about the special projects?" Li Bin asked. Dr. Choi Nari turned from another screen. She had been studying alien biology for years, learning how each species lived and, more importantly, how they could die. "The Vorthak crystal disruption. Weapons are ready. The Nebulon gas compression devices are tested. The Tidal Empire water poisoning systems are complete." Li Bin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Good. How long until we can move to full readiness?" 6 months, Dr. Choi Nari said. "Maybe less." Li Bin walked to a large screen that showed Earth from space. To anyone watching, it looked like a peaceful blue world covered with farms and small cities. Council spy satellites saw only tractors and grain silos. They could not see the massive underground factories building weapons. They could not detect the hidden missile bases. They had no idea that every farm worker was actually a trained soldier. "Sir," Captain Kim Woo said, "we just received Parksall's daily report. The Council is planning something big. They want to meet with him tomorrow about Earth's future. Li Bin's smile disappeared. Get me Admiral Yun Tae. It sounds like our timeline just got shorter. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Yun Tae stood on the bridge of a ship that looked like empty space. The ship was there, but Council sensors could not see it. Around him, 50 other invisible ships waited in the darkness between stars. Admiral, his communications officer said, urgent message from Earth Command. Yun Tae read the message quickly. His face grew serious. All ships, prepare for possible acceleration of Operation Reaper. We may need to move sooner than planned. Asomao. Next day, Park Sol returned to the council chamber. This time, the three ruling species looked different. They seemed excited about something. Park Sol kept his friendly farmer smile, but inside he was worried. Human Park Sol, the Vorthak Prime began. We have wonderful news for your species. Park Sol bowed. I am honored to hear it. Great ones. The Council has decided that Earth is too important to remain unguided, the Nebulon Collective whispered. Your food production is needed across many worlds, but your primitive government cannot manage such important work. Park Sol felt his heart beat faster, but he kept smiling. What does the Council suggest? The tidal empire leader splashed happily in its tank. We will take control of Earth's government. Your people will be relocated to farming worlds throughout the galaxy. This will be much more efficient. Relocated? Park Sol asked, trying to sound confused instead of angry. Yes, the Vorthak Prime said. Earth itself will become a council world. We will build proper cities and industries there. Your people will live on worlds designed for farming only. Everyone will be much happier. Park Sol knew what this really meant. He had studied the history of other species that had been relocated by the Council. They became slaves, working until they died on worlds far from their homes. Their original homeworlds were stripped of all resources and turned into Council industrial centers. This sounds very generous, Park Sol said carefully. When would this relocation happen? Soon, the Nebulon Collective whispered. Very soon. We will send our fleet to Earth in 30 standard days to begin the process. Your people should prepare for their new lives. Park Sol bowed again. I will tell my government immediately. They will be so grateful for the Council's kindness. But as Park Sol left the chamber, he was not thinking about gratitude. He was thinking about the message he would send to Earth. The message that would tell Commander Li Bin that the waiting was over. That night, in his small quarters on the Council station, Park Sol used a special communication device hidden inside what looked like a simple farming tool. The message he sent was short but clear. Harvest time begins in 30 days. On Earth, Li Bin received the message within hours. He immediately called a meeting of Earth's real leaders. They gathered in the hidden command center, their faces serious. 30 days, Li Bin announced. The Council is moving to take over Earth and relocate our people. Dr. Choi Nari spoke first. All weapon systems are ready. We can begin deployment immediately. Captain Kim Woo added. The ghost fleets are in position around every major council world. We can strike anywhere in the galaxy within hours. Li Bin looked around the room. These people had spent 12 years preparing for this moment. 12 years of pretending to be simple farmers while building the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. Then it's time, Li Bin said. Send the activation codes to all units. Operation Reaper begins now. Across human space, hidden bases came alive. Underground factories that had been producing weapons for years began their final production runs. Ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields and dark nebulae received their orders. Soldiers who had been pretending to be farmers put down their tools and picked up their weapons. On the Galactic Council station, Park Sol continued to smile and talk about crops and weather. But he also began sending new types of messages to Earth. Messages with detailed information about Council fleet movements, security codes, and the locations of important alien leaders. The Council species had no idea that their simple farmer was actually one of Earth's most skilled intelligence officers. They did not know that every conversation they had with him was recorded and analyzed. They thought they were talking to a primitive human who barely understood galactic politics. Meanwhile, Captain Kim Woo's ghost fleets began moving into their final positions. Invisible ships surrounded Council homeworlds. Stealth fighters hid in the shadows of alien space stations. Human soldiers in disguise took positions on Council ships and bases. Dr. Choi Nari made final checks on the special weapons Earth had developed. Each one was designed to work against specific alien biology. The weapons would not harm humans, but they would be devastating to the Council species. In the deepest underground bunkers on Earth, massive computers calculated attack patterns and defense strategies. Every possible Council response had been studied and planned, EIF. The Council enforcement fleets arrived at Earth exactly 30 days later, just as they had promised. 300 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace near Earth's moon. Each ship was the size of a small city and carried enough firepower to destroy planets. Admiral Korvex of the Vorthak led the fleet. His crystal body gleamed as he stood on his ship's bridge, looking at Earth through the main viewer. The planet looked just as it always had, blue and green and peaceful. Small orbital stations dotted the space around Earth, all of them broadcasting signals about grain shipments and harvest schedules. "Begin scanning for human populations," Admiral Korvex ordered. His voice rang like breaking glass through the bridge. The ship's sensors swept across Earth's surface. They found empty cities and quiet farms. The readings showed that all human settlements were abandoned, but there were no signs of violence or destruction. The humans had simply vanished. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we are detecting no human life signs on the planet's surface. The orbital stations are automated but empty." Admiral Korvex's crystal form flickered with confusion. "Check your sensors. Billions of humans were living on this planet just days ago." "Sensors are working perfectly, sir. There are no humans on Earth." On another ship in the fleet, Captain Mercies of the Tidal Empire floated in her water-filled command chamber. Her gills fluttered nervously as she received similar reports from her own sensors. "This makes no sense," she bubbled to her crew. "Where could they have gone? Humans do not have the technology for mass evacuation." The third fleet commander, Cloud-Mind Nexus of the Nebulon Collective, swirled with agitation in its gas form. Perhaps they fled to other worlds. Primitive species sometimes panic when faced with change. But Admiral Korvex was not convinced. Something felt wrong about this situation. In all his years of conducting relocations, he had never found an empty planet. Species usually resisted or tried to hide. They did not simply disappear. "Send patrol ships to search the outer system," Korvex ordered. "Check asteroid fields and moon bases. The humans must be hiding somewhere." 20 Council patrol ships spread out through Earth's solar system. They searched every moon, every asteroid, every possible hiding place. Their sensors were powerful enough to detect a single life form from millions of miles away. They found nothing. On Earth itself, Director Han Soo-jin watched the alien ships from her hidden command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens around her showed the positions of every Council vessel. Her intelligence network had been tracking the fleet since it left Council space weeks ago. "They are confused," she reported to the other commanders through an encrypted communication channel, "just as we hoped." From his own hidden location, Admiral Yoon Tae responded, "Phase 1 is complete. All human civilians have been evacuated to secure locations. Earth appears empty to their sensors." Captain Seo Min added from her invisible ship, "My stealth destroyers are in position around their fleet. We could disable their entire force right now." "Not yet," Commander Lee Bin's voice came through the communication system. "Let them search. Let them worry. Fear will make them weaker when we finally strike." The Council fleet spent 3 days searching Earth's solar system. They found traces of human activity, empty buildings, abandoned vehicles, farming equipment, left in fields. But they found no humans alive. Admiral Korvex grew more frustrated each day. He had never encountered anything like this before. His reports to the Galactic Council were becoming embarrassing. "The human population has disappeared," he transmitted to Council headquarters. "We are conducting a thorough search, but they seem to have vanished completely." The response came back quickly. "Find them. The Council requires human food production to continue. Without human farmers, several worlds will face famine. But Corvex's ships could not find what was not there to be found. What he did not know was that every human civilian had been moved to hidden bases deep underground or evacuated to secret colonies in distant star systems. Earth's surface was empty because humans had planned for this day for 12 years. On the fourth day, something strange began happening to the Council ships. Small system failures started occurring throughout the fleet. Navigation computers would stop working for a few minutes, then start again. Communication arrays would go silent, then suddenly return to normal. The failures were minor and seemed random. Ship engineers could find nothing wrong with their systems. Everything checked out perfectly, but the malfunctions continued. Captain Mercies reported to Admiral Corvex, "My ship has experienced 17 separate system failures in the past 6 hours. Each one lasted only minutes, but they are becoming more frequent." "Same here," CloudMind Nexus added. "Our gas containment systems have been fluctuating. It is making my crew nervous." Admiral Corvex's own ship had experienced similar problems. Lights flickering, gravity systems cycling on and off, life support hiccuping for just long enough to be noticed. "Run complete diagnostics on all systems," Corvex ordered. There must be some explanation, but the diagnostics showed nothing wrong. Every system tested perfectly, yet the small failures continued and began spreading throughout the entire fleet. What the Council crews did not know was that Lieutenant Colonel Zhang He's Special Forces teams were already aboard their ships. For weeks, human agents had been sneaking onto Council vessels during routine supply stops and diplomatic visits. They looked like normal humans: maintenance workers, cultural exchange students, trade representatives. The Council had never suspected them. Now these hidden agents were sabotaging Council ships from within. They used devices that caused temporary system failures without leaving any trace. The sabotage was designed to create confusion and fear without doing permanent damage. Earth wanted the Council crews nervous and distracted, not dead. By the end of the first week, the Council fleet was experiencing constant minor malfunctions. Crew members were jumping at shadows. Officers were filing reports about ghost signals and phantom sensor readings. Then the real psychological warfare began. General Oh Dong-hyun activated Phase 2 of Operation Reaper. From hidden bases throughout the solar system, human ships began playing tricks on Council sensors. False signals appeared and disappeared. Phantom ships showed up on scanners for seconds at a time, then vanished completely. Council communications officers started reporting strange transmissions. Brief messages in unknown languages followed by silence. Music from Earth that played for a few seconds, then cut off. Sometimes they heard what sounded like human voices whispering in the background of normal communications. "Sir," Admiral Corvex's communication officer reported with a shaking voice, "I am picking up transmissions that should not exist. They appear to be coming from empty space." "What kind of transmissions?" "Human music, sir, and what sounds like children singing. But there are no human ships on our sensors." Similar reports came in from ships throughout the fleet. Crews were hearing things that could not be there. Officers began demanding transfers. Some ships reported entire sections of their vessels going dark for minutes at a time with no explanation. The Council had faced rebel species before, but always openly. They knew how to fight enemies who attacked directly. They had no experience with an enemy that stayed hidden and played with their minds. Engineer Lim Ye-jin's quantum disruption weapons began the next phase of the campaign. These devices did not destroy Council ships. They simply made them stop working. One by one, ships throughout the fleet began experiencing total system shutdowns. The first ship affected was a Vorthak destroyer. Without warning, every system on board died simultaneously. Life support, navigation, weapons, communications, everything shut down. The Crystal crew floated helplessly in space, unable to call for help or move their ship. After exactly 1 hour, all systems came back online. Everything worked perfectly, as if nothing had happened. But the crew was terrified. They had no explanation for what had occurred. The same thing happened to a Tidal Empire cruiser the next day. Then a Nebulon collective science vessel. Each time, the affected ship went completely dead for exactly 1 hour, then returned to normal. Admiral Korvex tried to establish a pattern, but there was none. The shutdown seemed random. They affected different types of ships at different times. His technical experts could find no cause and no way to prevent them. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we have now lost 17 ships to temporary system failures. Each ship was helpless for 1 hour, then returned to normal operation. Any signs of attack? Weapons fire? Boarding parties?" "None, sir. The ship simply stopped working." Admiral Korvex had been a military officer for over 200 years. He had conquered dozens of worlds and defeated countless enemies, but he had never faced anything like this. An invisible enemy that could disable his ships at will, then let them recover. The worst part was the silence. Usually when the Council faced resistance, the enemy at least communicated. They made demands or threats. They explained what they wanted. But Earth had said nothing. No messages, no demands, no threats. Just an empty planet and a fleet being slowly driven insane by mysterious malfunctions and phantom signals. Then, on the 10th day, everything changed. Every screen on every Council ship lit up simultaneously. The same image appeared on all of them. A human man in... Admiral Korvex stood on his bridge, his crystal body flickering with patterns of stress and confusion. 3 days had passed since Commander Lee Bin's transmission, and the situation had only gotten worse. His fleet of 300 ships was now scattered throughout Earth's solar system, each vessel isolated and afraid. "Report," Korvex ordered his tactical officer. "Sir, we have lost all contact with 47 ships. They are not responding to any communications. Sensors show them as present, but they might as well be ghosts." Captain Seomin watched the Council fleet from the bridge of her invisible destroyer, the Shadow of Sol. Her ship was less than a kilometer away from Admiral Korvex's flagship, but the alien sensors could not detect her presence. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring every Council transmission. "Target the next ship on our list," Seomin ordered her weapons officer. "Make it clean. No permanent damage." "Yes, Captain. Locking on to the Tidal Empire heavy cruiser Deep Current. Quantum disruption device is ready." SEO Min nodded. "Fire." An invisible beam shot out from the Shadow of Sol, striking the alien cruiser. Immediately, every light on the Deep Current went out. The ship's engines died, its weapons powered down, and its communication array went silent. Inside the ship, Captain Merzies and her crew floated in their water-filled chambers, helpless and terrified. "Another one down," CO Min's tactical officer reported. "The Deep Current is completely disabled." "Good. Move us to the next target. We have 14 more ships to hit today." This had been going on for days. Human ships, completely invisible to Council sensors, would disable alien vessels one by one. Each attack was surgical and precise. No Council ships were destroyed, but they were left helpless for exactly 1 hour before their systems came back online. The psychological effect was devastating. Council crews never knew when their ship would be the next target. They could not fight an enemy they could not see. Some alien officers were requesting transfers off their ships. Others were demanding immediate retreat from Earth's solar system. But Admiral Korvex had orders from the Galactic Council High Command. He was not allowed to leave until the human population was found and relocated. The problem was, he was beginning to suspect that the humans did not want to be found. In another part of the solar system, Cloudmind Nexus swirled anxiously in its containment chamber aboard the Nebulon science vessel Whisperwind. The gas-based alien had been trying for days to figure out how the humans were accomplishing their attacks. "Have you discovered anything?" Nexus asked its science officer. "Nothing. Conclusive, Nexus. We detect no enemy ships, no weapons fire, no energy signatures. The attacks appear to come from nowhere and affect our ships in ways we cannot understand." What Cloudmind Nexus did not know was that human technology had advanced far beyond what the Council believed possible. Earth's scientists had been studying Council sensor technology for 12 years, learning exactly how alien ships detected other vessels. Then they had developed stealth systems specifically designed to be invisible to Council sensors. General Oh Dong-hyun activated the next phase of his psychological warfare campaign from his hidden command center on Earth's moon. The human base was built inside an old mining facility that Council sensors read as abandoned. In reality, it housed some of Earth's most advanced communication and electronic warfare equipment. Begin Operation Phantom, Oh Dong-hyun ordered his team. Across the Council fleet, strange things began happening. Ships would receive emergency distress calls from vessels that their sensors showed as perfectly functional. Crew members reported seeing other ships on their view screens that were not there when they looked with their own eyes. On Admiral Korvex's flagship, the communication officer turned to his commander with confusion. "Sir, we are receiving a distress call from the destroyer Shard Bright. They report being under attack." "What does tactical show?" Korvex asked. "Shard Bright is operating normally, sir. All systems functional, no signs of damage or attack." Korvex's crystal form flickered with frustration. "Contact Shard Bright directly." When the connection was made, the captain of Shard Bright appeared on screen, his crystal body pulsing with fear. "Admiral, we are under attack. Enemy ships are surrounding us." "Captain, our sensors show no enemy vessels near your position. You are alone in space." "That is impossible, sir. I can see them on my screens. 3 large ships, closing on our position." Korvex checked his own sensors again. Shard Bright was indeed alone in space. There were no other ships within 1,000,000 kilometers. This same scene was playing out throughout the fleet. Ships reported attacks that other vessels could not detect. Crews saw things that were not there. Communications became unreliable as false signals and ghost transmissions filled the communication channels. Engineer Lim Ye-jin smiled as she watched her handiwork from her control station. The quantum disruption weapons were just the beginning. Her team had also developed holographic projection systems that could make Council ships see things that did not exist. They could create false sensor readings, fake transmissions, and phantom ships that appeared real to the targeted vessel but were invisible to everyone else. "How many ships are now reporting ghost contacts?" she asked her assistant. 137, ma'am. Nearly half the fleet is seeing enemies that are not there." "Excellent. Increase the intensity. I want them to start shooting at shadows." That is exactly what began happening. Council ships, convinced they were under attack by invisible enemies, started firing their weapons at empty space. They shot at phantom targets that existed only on their sensors. Ships began firing at each other by mistake, thinking their own allies were enemy vessels. Admiral Korvex watched in horror as his organized fleet dissolved into chaos. Ships were breaking formation, firing randomly and fleeing in different directions. Captains were reporting enemy attacks that other ships could not confirm. His communication network was filled with contradictory reports and false alarms. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the cruiser Deep Flow has opened fire on one of our own destroyers. The destroyer is returning fire. Stop them. Order both ships to cease fire immediately." "I have been trying, sir, but our communications are being jammed. Neither ship can hear our transmissions." This was another part of Earth's plan. Human electronic warfare specialists were selectively jamming Council communications, making it impossible for alien commanders to coordinate their forces. Ships were isolated from each other, left to deal with phantom attacks and system failures on their own. Captain Kim Woo watched the chaos from her invisible command ship. Around her, displays showed the positions of all Council vessels. Many were now fleeing Earth's solar system, abandoning their mission in panic. "Sir," her communication officer reported, "we are receiving a message from Earth Command. Admiral Yoon Tae is requesting permission to begin Phase 3. Kim Woo nodded. "Tell the Admiral that Phase 3 is authorized. It is time to show them what real fear looks like." Admiral Yoon Tae received the authorization aboard his flagship, the invisible dreadnought Soul's Revenge. Around him, 50 other cloaked warships waited in the darkness between stars. These were not the small stealth destroyers that had been harassing the Council fleet. These were humanity's main battleships, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy entire worlds. "All ships," Yoon Tae transmitted on the encrypted human communication channel, "prepare to decloak. It is time to reveal ourselves." Throughout Earth's solar system, human warships began appearing as if by magic. There, stealth systems deactivated, revealing vessels that dwarfed the largest council ships. The human fleet had been there all along, watching and waiting. Admiral Corvex felt his crystal body crack with shock as his sensors suddenly detected over 200 massive human ships. They had appeared from nowhere, surrounding his scattered fleet. "Where did they come from?" he whispered. "Sir," his tactical officer said with a shaking voice. "They must have been here the entire time. Our sensors never detected them." On his main viewer, Corvex saw ships unlike anything in the Council database. They were sleek and dark, bristling with weapons that radiated power. Each human vessel looked like it had been designed for one purpose. War Commander Li Bin's voice came through on all Council communication channels. His image appeared on every screen in the fleet, calm and confident. "Admiral Corvex," Li Bin said, looking directly at the alien commander. "You came to our world to relocate our people. You assumed we were weak and helpless. You were wrong." Corvex tried to respond, but discovered his communication system would only receive, not transmit. The humans had taken complete control of his fleet's communication network. Li Bin continued, "For 12 years we have prepared for this day. We studied your technology, learned your weaknesses, and built weapons specifically designed to defeat each council species. You thought you were hunting farmers. You found soldiers instead." Around Admiral Corvex's flagship, human ships moved into attack formation. Their weapons were charging, energy readings climbing to levels that made Council sensors overload. "You have two choices," Li Bin said. "Surrender now and be treated as prisoners of war, or continue to resist and face the full power of the Earth Defense Force." Admiral Corvex looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. His fleet was... The Council reinforcement fleet had brought 800 fresh warships to Earth's solar system. Admiral Corvex felt his confidence return as he watched the massive alien armada take positions around his scattered forces. Surely even the humans could not stand against such overwhelming power. High Admiral Zenth of the Vorthak commanded the reinforcement fleet from her crystal flagship, the Shattering Light. Her body was larger and more complex than Corvex's, showing her higher rank and greater age. She had conquered more worlds than any other Council commander. "Admiral Corvex," she transmitted to his ship. "Report on the current situation." Corvex's image appeared on her viewer, his crystal form still flickering with stress. "High Admiral, the humans have somehow developed advanced stealth technology. They have been attacking our ships with invisible vessels and causing system failures throughout the fleet." "Show me these human ships," Zenth ordered. On her tactical display, the human fleet appeared as bright dots surrounding Earth. Zenth counted over 200 vessels, each one larger than standard Council warships. She was impressed despite herself. The humans had hidden their true military strength perfectly. "Interesting," she said. "But we now have over 1,000 ships total. Even with their technology, the humans cannot possibly win against such numbers." But Admiral Yun Te was not worried about numbers. From the bridge of his flagship, he watched the Council reinforcements position themselves exactly where human battle plans had predicted they would. For 12 years, Earth's military strategists had studied Council tactics and fleet movements. They knew exactly how the aliens would react to any situation. "All ships," Yun Te transmitted on the encrypted human channel. "The trap is set. Begin Operation Thunderstrike." What happened next shocked the Council forces more than anything they had experienced so far. The human ships did not attack the alien fleet directly. Instead, they disappeared again, their stealth systems reactivating. One moment they were there, the next moment Council sensors showed nothing but empty space. High Admiral Zenth stared at her displays in confusion. "Where did they go?" "Unknown, High Admiral," her tactical officer replied. "All human ships have vanished from our sensors." But the humans had not actually left. They had simply become invisible again. Captain Seo Min guided the Shadow of Soul through the Council formation, completely undetected. Around her, dozens of other human ships moved like ghosts among the alien vessels. "Target selection complete," her tactical officer reported. "We have firing solutions on all priority targets. SEO Min nodded. All ships commence precise strikes, remember. We want to disable, not destroy. Dead aliens cannot surrender. The human assault began with surgical precision. Council command ships throughout the fleet suddenly lost all power. Their bridges went dark, their weapon systems died, and their communication arrays shut down. But unlike the previous attacks, these system failures were permanent. High Admiral Zenth watched in horror as her flagship's screens went black. Emergency lighting flickered on, but none of her primary systems responded to commands. Around her, other Crystal officers scrambled to restore power, but nothing worked. Engineering, she called out. What is our status? High Admiral, came the reply from deep in the ship. Every major system has been damaged, not destroyed, damaged in very specific ways. It will take days to repair everything. This was the work of Dr. Kim So-young's engineering teams. They had developed weapons that could target specific components in alien technology, causing precise damage that would disable ships without destroying them. The weapons were designed based on 12 years of studying captured Council technology. Throughout, the fleet Council vessels found themselves crippled in different ways. Vorthak ships lost their crystal matrix power cores. Nebulon vessels had their gas containment systems disrupted. Tidal Empire ships found their water recycling systems contaminated with substances that made the water unbreathable for their crews. Colonel Bei Inho watched the attack from his orbital command platform hidden among Earth's moons. His screen showed the status of every Council ship in the system. Red indicators marked disabled vessels, yellow showed ships with reduced capability, and green indicated fully functional enemies. Sir, his aide reported, 70% of Council command vessels are now disabled. Their fleet coordination is completely disrupted. Excellent. Begin Phase 2. Target their heavy weapons platforms. Human ships, still invisible to Council. Sensors began attacking the largest alien warships. These vessels carried the most powerful weapons in the Council arsenal, planet-destroying cannons and system-killing missiles. But Earth's weapons were specifically designed to neutralize these threats. The Vorthak Dreadnought Stellar Crusher was the first target. Its massive crystal hull contained weapons capable of cracking planets, but when invisible human missiles struck the ship, the weapons did not explode. Instead, they released clouds of microscopic machines that began disassembling the ship's weapon systems atom by atom. Within minutes, the Stellar Crusher's planet-killing weapons had been reduced to harmless metal and crystal fragments. The ship itself remained intact, its crew unharmed, but it was now completely defenseless. Major Shinju Wan led the most dangerous part of the operation from inside Council ships themselves. His special forces teams had been hiding aboard alien vessels for weeks, disguised as maintenance workers and cultural exchange students. Now they revealed their true purpose. On the Nebulan flagship Whisperwind, Juwan and his team emerged from hiding places throughout the ship. They wore human combat armor designed to function in the gas-filled atmosphere that the Nebulan breathed. Their weapons were non-lethal but extremely effective against gas-based life forms. "Attention Nebulan crew," Juwan announced through the ship's communication system. "This vessel is now under human control. Do not resist and you will not be harmed." Cloudmind Nexus swirled in panic as human soldiers secured the bridge. The gas-based alien had never seen humans in combat gear before. They looked nothing like the simple farmers the Council had expected to find. "How is this possible?" Nexus whispered. "Humans do not have the technology for such equipment." Ju-1 removed his helmet, revealing a calm human face. "You underestimated us, that was your mistake." Similar scenes were playing out on ships throughout the Council fleet. Human special forces teams were taking control of alien vessels from within. The Council crews, already demoralized by days of phantom attacks and system failures, offered little resistance. Lieutenant Colonel Jiang Hai coordinated the boarding operations from her command ship. Her forces had spent months infiltrating Council vessels, learning their layouts and studying their security systems. Now they moved through alien ships like they owned them. "Status report," she requested from her team leaders. "Bridge secured on the Tidal Empire cruiser Deep Flow," came one report. Engineering taken on the Vorthak destroyer Shard Bright, came another. Command and control captured on the Nebulan science vessel Research Wind. One by one, Key Council, ships fell under human control. Not through destruction, but through precise capture by soldiers who had been hiding in plain sight for weeks. High Admiral Zenth, trapped on her powerless flagship, tried to understand what was happening. Her fleet was being systematically disabled and captured by an enemy that had appeared from nowhere. Worse, her communication systems were so damaged that she could not coordinate a response. Dr. Kim So-young activated the final phase of her biological weapons program from her laboratory deep beneath Earth's surface. These weapons were her most carefully designed creations, biological agents that would affect specific alien species without harming humans or other life forms. Release the atmospheric agents, she ordered her team. Throughout the Council fleet, life support systems began malfunctioning in very specific ways. Vorthak ships found their crystalline atmosphere becoming unstable, making it difficult for crystal-based life forms to maintain their molecular structure. Nebulon vessels experienced gas compression problems that made their crews drowsy and confused. Tidal Empire ships had their water supplies contaminated with substances that caused temporary paralysis in aquatic species. None of the weapons were lethal, but they made it impossible for Council crews to fight effectively. Alien officers found themselves struggling just to stay conscious, let alone coordinate military operations. Admiral Yoon Tae decided it was time to reveal the full scope of humanity's preparation. From hidden bases throughout human space, massive fleets began decloaking, not just around Earth but around every major Council world throughout the galaxy. On his main viewer, Yoon Tae showed High Admiral Zenth a tactical display of the entire galaxy. Red dots marked Council worlds, and each one was surrounded by clusters of human ships. High Admiral, Yoon Tae transmitted to her crippled flagship, "What you see here is the result of 12 years of preparation. While you believed we were simple farmers, we were building the largest military force in galactic history. We have ships positioned around every Council world, every major base, and every strategic resource in your territory." Zenth stared at the display in shock. There were thousands of human ships spread across dozens of star systems. How had they built such a fleet without Council intelligence detecting it? "This is impossible," she whispered. High Admiral Zenth sat in the emergency lighting of her disabled flagship, staring at a small communication device that still worked. The device showed her a live transmission from the Galactic Council chambers, where the 3 ruling species were meeting in emergency session. The crystal halls of the Council station were filled with panicked alien representatives. Species that had never known defeat were suddenly faced with the collapse of their entire military force. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Human fleets had appeared around every major Council world, and all of them carried the same message: surrender or be destroyed. President Kang Mi-sun walked slowly into the Council chambers, flanked by Admiral Nam Ki-yong and Ambassador Ryu Ha-na. The human leaders wore simple but elegant clothing that made them look nothing like the farmers the Council had expected. Behind them came Dr. Choi Nari, carrying a data pad with information that would change everything. The assembled aliens fell silent as the humans entered. For 1,000 years, no species had dared to challenge the Galactic Council in their own chambers. No one had ever walked into this room as conquerors. "Honored Council members," President Kang Mi-sun said in a clear, calm voice. "I am President Kang Mi-sun of Earth. I believe we need to discuss new arrangements for galactic governance." The Vorthak Prime, its crystal body cracking with stress patterns, spoke first. You are not Ambassador Park Sol." President Kang Mi-sun smiled. Ambassador Park Sol was exactly what he appeared to be: a mid-level diplomat assigned to manage relations with beings we considered beneath our real attention. "I am the actual leader of humanity, and I have come to discuss the terms of your surrender." The words hit the Council like a physical blow. For 12 years they had been dealing with what they thought was Earth's most important leader. In reality, they had been talking to a minor official while humanity's real government prepared for war. Cloudmine Nexus swirled with agitation. "This is impossible. Our intelligence services reported that humans had no significant military capability." Your intelligence services reported exactly what we wanted them to report, Dr. Choi Nari said, stepping forward. Every piece of information you gathered about Earth was carefully crafted to reinforce your belief in our weakness. We fed your spies false data, showed your reconnaissance missions fake facilities, and convinced your analysts that we were exactly what we appeared to be. Admiral, Nam Ki-yong activated a holographic display that filled the center of the council chambers. It showed the current military situation throughout the galaxy. Every council world surrounded by human ships. Every alien fleet disabled or captured. As you can see, Nam Ki-yong said, Earth's forces now control all strategic positions in council space. Your military has been neutralized using weapons specifically designed to counter each of your species' biology and technology. We could destroy your civilizations completely, but we prefer not to rule over graves. The Tidal Empire representative, floating in its water tank, spoke with bubbling fear. What do you want from us? President Kang Mi-sun walked to the center of the chamber where the council's ruling podium stood. For 1,000 years, only the 3 dominant species had been allowed to speak from that position. Now a human took the podium as if she owned it. We want the immediate and permanent dissolution of the Galactic Council as it currently exists, she announced. We want the liberation of all enslaved species and the return of their homeworlds. We want reparations paid to every civilization that has suffered under Council rule. And we want the establishment of a new galactic government based on cooperation, rather than domination. The Council representatives stared at her in shock. They had expected demands for tribute or territory. Instead, the humans were dismantling their entire political system. Ambassador Ryu Hana stepped forward with a datapad. We have prepared a comprehensive list of all species currently held in forced labor by the Council. Their liberation will begin immediately. We have also identified all worlds that were taken from their original inhabitants. These will be returned to their rightful owners. You cannot do this, the Vorthak Prime protested. The Council has maintained order in the galaxy for 1,000 years. Without our guidance, there will be chaos. Your order was built on slavery and genocide, President Kang Mi-sun replied. We have studied the histories of 47 species that were completely exterminated by Council forces. We know about the labor camps, the forced relocations, and the strip mining of inhabited worlds. Your version of order is ending today. Dr. Choi Nari activated another display showing the genetic and cultural records of extinct species. We have been gathering evidence of Council crimes for 12 years. Every atrocity, every act of genocide, every forced extinction has been documented. The galaxy will know the truth about Council rule. The alien representatives began arguing among themselves, their voices rising in panic. Some demanded resistance, others called for negotiation. A few suggested fleeing to distant galaxies beyond human reach. President Kang Mi-sun waited for the noise to die down, then spoke again. You have 3 choices. Accept our terms and cooperate with the transition to new galactic government. Resist and face the complete destruction of your civilizations. Or attempt to flee, knowing that human ships will hunt you to the edge of the universe. Admiral Nam Ki-yong added, Your fleets are disabled, your homeworlds are surrounded, and your communication networks are under our control. You have no military options remaining. The only question is whether you will surrender with dignity or be dragged to defeat. High Admiral Zenth, watching from her crippled flagship, saw the truth in the human admiral's words. Her entire career had been built on Council military supremacy, but that supremacy no longer existed. Humanity had not just defeated the Council, they had made them irrelevant. Ambassador Ryu Hana began reading from her datapad. The following species will be immediately liberated from Council control: the Zentauri mining slaves, the Procyon agricultural workers, the Rigel shipyard laborers, the Antares crystal harvesters. The list went on for several minutes, naming dozens of enslaved civilizations. Additionally, she continued, the following worlds will be returned to their original inhabitants: Kepler 442, formerly known as Agricultural World 7, Gliese 581, formerly Industrial Center 12, HD 4307, formerly Mining Operation 16. With each name, the council representatives understood more clearly what they were losing. These were not just territories, they were the foundation of council power and wealth. Without slave labor and stolen resources, the three ruling species would have to rebuild their entire civilization. President Kang Mi-sun noticed their distress, and her voice softened slightly. This does not mean the end of your species. It means the end of your dominance over others. You will be allowed to keep your homeworlds and govern yourselves. You may even participate in the new galactic government, as equals, not rulers. Equals, the Vorthak Prime asked, its crystal form flickering with confusion. We have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. We are the most advanced civilizations in known space. You were the most militarily powerful, Dr. Choi Nari corrected. But advancement is not just about weapons and conquest. Humanity has surpassed you in technology, strategy, and understanding of galactic politics. You ruled through fear and violence. We will govern through cooperation and mutual benefit. Admiral Nam Ki-yong activated one final display, showing the true scope of Earth's hidden civilization. Space stations that dwarfed council installations, research facilities that made alien laboratories look primitive, and industrial centers that could outproduce entire council worlds. While you thought we were farming, we were building the most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever seen, he explained. We developed technologies you cannot imagine, created weapons you cannot counter, and established an intelligence network that reaches into every corner of council space. The council representatives stared at the displays in growing understanding. Humanity had not just prepared for war, they had evolved beyond anything the council thought possible. The species they had dismissed as primitive farmers had become something far more dangerous, a civilization that was genuinely superior to their own. President Kang Mi-sun stepped down from the podium and walked toward the chamber exit. You have 24 hours to accept our terms. After that, we will implement them with or without your cooperation. I suggest you choose cooperation. As the humans left the chamber, the council representatives sat in stunned silence. For 1,000 years, they had been the galaxy's apex predators. Now they had become prey for a species they had never taken seriously. High Admiral Zenth, watching from her disabled ship, made the decision that would end the council era forever. She activated her emergency communication system and transmitted a message to all council forces throughout the galaxy. All council military units, she announced. This is High Admiral Zenth. I am ordering the immediate surrender of all council forces to human command. The war is over. We have lost. One by one, council commanders throughout the galaxy received the message and began powering down their weapons. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds now sat helpless, waiting for human officers to board them and accept their surrender. Commander,